Okay, welcome back to my third part of my artist features spotlight on Frank Miller. Excuse me. So after I start buying this series, naturally I went back to my comic book store and trying to search out older Frank Miller book. Of course, I went back and reread my Wolverine mini series, and I was able to go to the store, and luckily back in 1983 there are just so many issues of Frank Miller Daredevil comics at my store that I was able to buy them fairly cheaply. I'm pretty sure I picked these out in a discount bin at the store, but I definitely had to pay cover price for them. But no doubt, when I pick up these issues and start to compare the work of Claus Jensen and Frank Miller compared to Frank Miller and Joe Rubinstein work, I would say that as much as I had a problem with Claus Jensen's style overwhelming Frank's work, I do like it much more than the Joe Rubinstein collaboration in the Wolverine miniseries. And it's something, it's something crude about the way Claus ink, but it turned out quite beautifully. I did not dislike the result of this book, and I had to say that slowly my taste is changing in 1983 because as I mentioned in the previous videos, I came from the mindset of how beautiful the artwork of John Byrne, George Perez, and Neil Adams were, so it took a little bit of adjustment for me to take a look at these style of drawing, to appreciate them. No doubt I enjoy the way Frank Miller lay out the panels. His storytelling is really unique, and I really liked it. I might not fell in love with his style right away, but I do appreciate the layout of the panels that he had. So that's what I bought. Okay, so I bought these at my store, and I did enjoy them. They did not blow my mind as this book did, but Claus Jensen has been around and working on Daredevil way before Frank Miller took over the book. So, for example, if you look at this book here, which is my copy of Daredevil 131, the first intro of the new Bullseye, you can see this is a beautiful copy, very sharp. This one here is done also, inked by Claus Jensen, and as you can see, it's the way he inked is very noticeable. It's not hard to take a look at the book and figure out that it's Claus Jensen inking. Okay, so this is what Claus Jensen inking was like in the early Daredevil issues before Frank Miller took over the book, as you can see. I can definitely tell, this is his work more so than Bob Brown. I have no idea I'm not very familiar with Bob Brown penciling. So let's take a look at their collaboration on the first Daredevil issue. So here we have Daredevil 158. This is my gorgeous copy, 158, perfectly center. The only thing wrong with this book is right there. As you can see that little thing on the spine right there. But other than that, gorgeous. This book is one of those really tough books to find that is well centered. Often it's crooked. You can see that the Marvel comic group logo is crooked. You have the not well centered, but it took me a long time to find this copy. So here we go. Let's take a look at Frank Miller and Claus Jensen collaboration. Beautiful work. As you can see, the artwork, the penciling in this book resemble more of the early Frank Miller that I showed in the very first video, where I show his work in Peter Parker 27 and 28. Frank was much more detailed, but you can see right here, okay? There's a lot of hint of how Claus Jensen right off the get-go overwhelmed Frank penciling, okay? But it's very well drawn, and I must say that, you know, it's my opinion, I didn't really like the result of their earlier work, but it's just my opinion, because I have a feeling that Frank Miller did not mind it at all. Because if Frank Miller right at the get-go worked with Claus Jensen and stuck around with Claus for many years, obviously he has a different view than I did. He must have liked the result. As you can see, look at this right here, right there. As you can see, that has more of a Claus Jensen influence already, okay? So that's it. And then if you go, you know, a year later roughly to this book, the first intro of Elektra. Here's my gorgeous copy. There's a couple things on the spine, but otherwise another beautiful flawless edge and corners. By this issue, you know, which is, you know, roughly 2 years after their first team together, you can see that their style has really meshed together, and it really stayed this way for the next couple of years. You can see. By this issue, I definitely wouldn't say that Claus exert too much influence on Frank. I would say that Frank Miller have evolved. His style has changed. Claus, you know, for the most part, still is Claus Jensen at this point. You know, he hasn't evolved yet, but for me, I think Frank has evolved. He's no longer pencil the way he did a year ago. As you can see, it's definitely very different from what he started out, you know, just 2 years earlier. And you know, he's evolving. I would say slowly but surely, as you can see. No longer is his penciling so detailed. I think he become more, I wouldn't use the word abstract like Bill Sinkovich, it's hard for me to use the right word to describe the way Frank Miller pencil. It's certainly not abstract. That's not the right word for it, but if somebody can come up with a better description, I'd love to hear it. I would say it's, it's less is more. I think Frank has discovered that he doesn't have to use so many lines in order to convey what he wanted on the page. Certainly he become much more simplistic in a good way. Okay, so that's it right there. That's is Elektra. So as you can see, if you look at this book right here and compare it to the later work, which is these issues right here. If you look at the work in this book as well as this one, you will see that the style didn't really change that much, so there was not much of a drastic change in the way Frank Miller and Claus Jensen worked together in the later half of their collaboration. That's a pretty good picture right there. So I definitely become a Frank Miller fan by this point. This is talking about 1983. Certainly I love his work in the Ronin series, but as I go back and buy the earlier Daredevil issues, I would say that I slowly become a bigger Frank Miller fan and appreciated his work. Okay, anyhow, thanks for watching the third part of the series, and I will try to wrap it up in the fourth part. Thanks for watching. Bye.